This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yo, should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today, a show that we do on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being a new comic book day. And as part of this celebration, we come together to talk about some news and current events. I typically have a guest or two that helps me to make sense of something that is happening in the world of comics and collectibles. And above all else, we have a good time. We will not have a guest on tonight's show, but we will do a little bit of a rip and response where I'm just going to talk about various topics. I have some things that I want to cover, but I'm also going to be taking my cues from the chat. So if you are in the live chat, if you have things that you want to discuss, be ready to throw those things out and maybe I will riff on them. I don't know what those topics are going to be. I don't know what I'm actually going to say. But hopefully, above all else, we will have a good time tonight. Some of the things that have been in my head today as I was thinking about this show. Have we forgotten how to have fun? Have we forgotten how to have fun as a comic book community? Are we spoiled? Those were like the two questions that kept rattling around my head. We're also going to talk about James Gunn a little bit. He's made some, he's confirmed a couple of things that we're going to talk about. And then Spider-Man also has a drinking problem. That was a little interesting thing that came my way that I wanted to try to speak on. I'm going to be going to the chat here in just a moment, but two quick updates I will give you guys. We had a meeting a short while ago. We had a meeting, the creative team and the publisher, me, got together to talk about Marcus, a new publication that I am hoping to release before the end of this year. Hopefully, if all goes according to plan, at New York Comic Con. So if you are planning to come to New York Comic Con, we are making plans to have two creative teams, mostly on site at New York Comic Con, where you'll have a chance to meet the writers behind it, some of the artists, the inker, the letterer, that kind of stuff. And then we'll also be signing stuff. Where we will be, I don't know exactly, but we will be at New York Comic Con. So I'm definitely pumped about that. There was another thing I was going to tell you. Oh, so what is that thing called? There was a podcast that I was mentioned in today with Great Power. With Great Power, this is the podcast from the Wall Street Journal. They did a 4-part series on the MCU as a business, right? If you saw my reel earlier this week, it was a setup for a couple of things that are happening this week. But the MCU has brought in more than $30 billion. And so this Wall Street Journal podcast, this 4-part installment, looks at the beginnings of the MCU all the way through the present day. The guy that did it, the reporter, is a DC fan, so he found a way to slide some DC stuff in there. But I was actually featured, and I'm using that term loosely, featured in part 3 at about 14 minutes and 12 seconds. And I spoke to the producer, I think twice, probably for an hour and a half. And I think I was all of 30 seconds in this podcast, but it was cool. It was cool to hear my name mentioned. And it was cool to be part of something really awesome that the Wall Street Journal was putting together. So if you guys have a chance, check that out. It is the Wall Street Journal podcast on Spotify. If you are on Instagram, if you follow me there, there is a link. And then I think also I put one on Threads as well. There's one on Threads as well. So check that out when you guys get a chance. All right, let me go to the chat real quick. I'm telling you, here's the writer right here, Scott right here. This is the writer for Marcus. I am really pumped about Marcus. And I think we've gone through 4 or 5 versions of the script for issue 1, fine-tuning it, tweaking it, make some improvements. And when we talked with the artist earlier today, we had another little back and forth. And I personally think through a little, and I'm using this term loosely, conflict, you will end up in a really good place. If everybody feels like they can have their voice be heard because they have an opinion, and that opinion is a good one, right? We have a little back and forth, we make some changes, we make some tweaks, or we say, look, we can't do that, but we're going to do this other thing. I think that the finished product is all the better when creative people can have a reasonable conversation about some stuff. So I am pumped about Marcus coming out. That will be 2 publications technically for Swoldier Publishing this year. Very excited about that. Phil Tastic is asking if this is a Romita wall. Yes, Phil Tastic. It is a tribute to John Romita Sr., his passing. I decided to put up some of his books on the wall to kind of celebrate some of that stuff. So scrolling through some of the comments here, what is that? Friends with issues. There you go. It's like cheers all the way around. So if you guys made it out to your LCS today and you picked up some books, please, in the comment section, let me know what it is you picked up. If you want to shout out your LCS, do that. If you read something today that was really good that we should put on the top of our reading stacks, I want to know about that as well, because that's part of why we do this show on Wednesday, is to help remind people that yes, we may be buying and selling and speculating and investing in comics, but we are also buying comics and reading them simply for the pleasure of reading the comic. And that's part, again, why we do this show on Wednesday, to send a signal to people that people actually still do read comics, right? We buy them not for just investment and speculation. We buy them because they're really awesome pieces of creative works. And so if you read something, let us know what it is that you read. If you picked up something that is not a new comic, but it is a new to you comic, we want to know about that as well so that we can celebrate. And if you happen to be in here, if you are in here right now and you have recently joined the channel, and or if this is your first live stream, we want to know that as well. The channel has seen some tremendous growth over the last month or so. A lot of new people, and we want to make sure that we pause to acknowledge them. Blue Wrenches will be on the lookout for you if you happen to be new. Just briefly, I wanted to see Neil, you, sir, are a nut. It is good to see you, Neil, as always. Steve White says, I picked up Hulk 181. It's a facsimile. Did you get the foil? There's like a foil 181 that I thought came out today. Is that the one that you picked up? I see Milt's up in here. Where's Milt? Where is he? I see Mark. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Frog Brawler, it is good to see you, my friend. There he is, my man Milt. Good to see you, brother, as always. Kevin's in here. It's good to see you. Trev, that's what's up. Here we go. Planet Arizona Comics, Moon Knight 25, the JTC negative space variant is the book of the week, in his opinion. That's what's up. Was it a good read, though? Was it a good read? Moon Knight was on a really good tear. I was enjoying this Moon Knight series. When did it start? 2021? I think it started in 2021, maybe 2022. I can't remember. But it was a good read. I have not read it in some time, so maybe I need to revisit. So let me know if it was a good read. One of the Blue Wrenches is up in here, Tina. Always here holding us down. Scott's on the board. ASM Disney 100. The Minnie Mouse cover is cool, he says. That's what's up. The pastor's in here. He says, I'm thinking I made a bad trade that I might regret. Pastor, you would not be the first person to do that. You would not be the first person to, no matter who you are, if you sold something too soon or sold it too low, sold it and regretted it, if you bought something and you paid too much, or you bought it at the height, whatever it is, like, we have all been there. Like, there is no virgin territory around here for mistakes. But Pastor, if you want to share your trials and tribulations, this is a safe space to do it, and we will only make fun of you for a moment, and then the healing will begin. That's how we're gonna do it. Scrolling through some of the comments, Fat Dad is up in here. How you doing? He said it picked up ASM 238 from a fellow collector on Instagram. Instagram's a great place, man, for picking up books. I actually had an exchange with somebody the other day, and they were like, "How do you do this?" No, so they reached out and they were like, I was thinking about buying something from this guy, but I feel funny about it. And I was like, well, if you feel funny about it, you probably have reason. And I looked at the person's profile and I was like, that seems sketchy to me. There is a couple of videos here on YouTube. If you search for Regie Collects Instagram, where I offer up some tips and pointers for being able to do deals via Instagram. Fat Dad sounds like he got a smoking deal on that book. Congrats to you, brother. But for others out there that want some tips and pointers, if you search here on YouTube, you may be able to find some stuff. Mark is on the board. He says Moon Knight 25, Planet of the Apes 4, Animal Castle 3, Ghost Lore 3, Deep Cuts 3. There's a theme there. And because he's Canadian, he picked up Fish Flies 1. It was not until I got to the end of that book that I realized that fish flies are a Canadian thing. If you're in the US, you can read it too. But I thought that was a uniquely Canadian thing, and I encouraged all the Canadians to pick that one up. Fish Flies. I think it's the author is from Ontario. There you go. Milt's on the board. How you doing, brother? He says favorite book of the week: The Hunger and Dusk by IDW. Really good. There you go. I may have to check those out. That sounds like vampires, Milt. I'm gonna just be honest with you. The Hunger and Dusk sounds like some Nosferatu. Please confirm that for me. I don't want to get my hopes up thinking I'm about to read a good vampire story and it not be that. So let me know, Milt. Not gonna lie, my stack of new comic book day, I did get X-Men. Was at 112 in the mail today, done with 110 through 320. Frog Brawler is on a tear to put together a nice run of X-Men books. You need to hook up with Lee Atkins. You need to hook up with him. He is a true aficionado when it comes to X-Men. Scrolling through some of the comments here, Antarctic 1, which is a book that I read. I think I showed that book last week on the live stream. I was able to get copies of that from the folks over at Skybound. Antarctic 1, Sirens of the City 1, Fish Flies. There you go. Number 1 for the new books. No foil on the Hulk, he says. That's what's up. Read Flashpoint after watching the... Victor, was the comic better than the movie? I mean, is there anything positive here? Can we look to some positivity? Let me know if you thought that the comic was good, because we want to have positive notes here. Milt says Antarctic was good, and I love the ASM Disney 100 variant. There you go. Antarctica was not bad. It was. I want to say that is that the one. I feel like there was a lot of words in there, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I don't exactly know where the story is going to go, but I am intrigued. And what was really interesting is I actually had a copy of it before the artist had a copy, because he commented on my post about it and was like, I can't wait to get my hands on it. So he hasn't gotten, I think actually today I did see, no, he was encouraging people to pick it up, but I don't think he has his copy yet based upon what I saw. Scrolling through, Moon Knight 25 was a good read. I've enjoyed it. There you go. That's what's up. It's been a good read. There's no doubt about that. I've been reading Marvel Super Special 16, The Empire Strikes Back. There you go. I'm gonna have to move my mic. I have a new mic and I'm trying to adjust to it in the screen here. And I'm having to look around it, and it's tough. So hopefully you guys can still hear me. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Frog Bro was like, it went downhill. Okay, well, hey, there you go. There you go. I read the first maybe 5 or 6 issues, and I rather enjoyed it. But it's good to know. It's good to know. World's Finest Teen Titans was a good read today. I'm also enjoying the Moon Knight Terror storyline from DC. There you go. Jason's on the board. Scrolling. Can you tell I grew up in the church? Because I can weave some of that stuff right in there where most people might not even hear it. Here we go. My man Brian is up in here. Brian is the man behind the Comic Book Community Awards. If you have not, is voting open yet, Brian? Voting open. If it's not, I'm guessing that it is. Just vote for me. Everybody in here. No. Brian, drop some of the details in the comment section if you can, so that people can support your endeavor, can vote for their favorite YouTubers, whoever he or she might be. And we'll have to have you on the show, Brian, at some point to give an update as to where things are with the Comic Book Community Awards. There we go. I'm going to let you two fight it out in the streets. I'm gonna let you two fight it out in the streets. I'm gonna scroll down on this thing. Agreed. Scott says that the negative space Moon Knight variant is the book of the week. Moon Knight was solid until around 18 or 19, says Frog Brawler. I'm gonna let you guys fight that out in the streets. I'm not gonna touch that. Oh, here we go. Here's the details. Here's the confessional. I traded X-Men 131 Forever People #1, first appearance of Black Mask, and first appearance of Ra's al Ghul for the entire X Factor run, including annuals. So I'm gonna just keep scrolling. I don't like X Factor that much anymore. I will tell you, I used to be a big X Factor fan. Back in the day, I read a lot of X Factor. I have a lot of X Factor from my childhood. I have several books that were signed right in the middle of the X by, I think it was the artist that did it. Several of which I smeared as a kid, but I have a lot of those. So, but I have not read any X Factor in a very long time. But if you are a big X Factor fan or whatever fan, man, just have fun with this hobby. And again, one of the things I teed up is have we forgotten that this hobby should be fun? Have we forgotten about that? Have we gotten spoiled? Those are some of the things that are running through my mind. And again, Pastor Michael, if you're having fun, brother, just keep enjoying the comics. Keep enjoying them. Milt's on the board. Animal Castle is getting pretty good. He says oh, that's a comment. Never mind. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Seeing what else you guys are talking about. Scrolling. There we go. Vampire. There we go, Milt. I am now on board. I know what I'll be reading a little bit later. Victor's on the board saying Flashpoint, the comic was better than the movie. The movie, I think we can probably just call that one a flop. That movie is now basically about to being released digitally about a month or so, maybe to the day of when it was released in theaters. I think it's probably official that a lot of the hype surrounding the Flash movie has been proven untrue. And some people like it, and I'm not saying that it's not, but the greatest superhero movie of all time, that's basically what people were being told. And I think people are realizing that may not be true. Foil Hulk is on fire. My LCSs were damaged, but going to pick up a couple. There you go. Good luck with that. I saw a photo of it earlier today. I don't think the photo did it justice, to be honest with you. I don't think the photo did it justice. I'd like to see one in person at some point. Scrolling through some of the comments, Dave, thank you, brother, for stopping by for however long. I think you sent me a message saying something about something personal that I won't repeat. I hope everything turns out okay. Scrolling through the comments here, thank you, Tina. Getting that Jerry homage, getting that Jerry cover. There you go. Forget about it. Scrolling through some of the comments. All right, so let's transition on. And again, this is going to be like a rip and respond. So we're gonna just riff off some stuff. There's several things that I do want to talk about, but we are going to riff and respond. So as I alluded to at the top of the show, I read a tremendous amount of comments every single day, all day. I am reading comments. I'm responding to people, sometimes in email, but mostly in DMs in the comment section of my videos. And I think a lot of people are still surprised that I do that. A lot of people didn't believe that I would be able to maintain that, but I enjoy reading comments by and large. I enjoy because it allows me to remain in contact with the subscribers of the channel, what you guys are thinking, what you're feeling, what you're hearing, what you believe to be true. Gives me ideas for story content. And that's part of the reason why I do it. Sometimes I get a little spicy in the comment section, but I enjoy reading the comments that people leave behind. But with that said, there is an interesting trend that I've noticed, and it really came to a head a little bit with all of the news surrounding Deadpool 3, right? Like, this is an article that's on, CBR.com. And there have been a lot of comments lately about specifically this movie as Ryan Reynolds released some images on his Instagram page. And as we saw additional photos over the last several days of what is actually happening on set, I just wonder if people are forgetting that we are in a very fortunate situation, right? I remember back in the day when Lou Ferrigno with the green paint was the best that we could do, and it was not good, right? But you had to use your imagination to be like, oh, he's transforming into Incredible Hulk, right? Bruce Banner, that is. And I just feel like in some ways we've gotten away from just enjoying comics and enjoying these movies where no matter what happens, we are looking for the negative in it versus the positive in it, right? So the photos come out, and I'm reading these comments from people that are like, Wolverine's too tall. Hugh Jackman didn't suddenly get tall. He's always been tall, right? But he's too tall. This doesn't look right. Why does he have sleeves on his uniform, right? It's like sleeve gate. And it's just one of those things like, can we just, why doesn't he have his mask on? Why isn't it the brown and mustard color? Why is it this one, right? Can we just pause and be like, this is cool? Can we just pause and be like, you know what? This is what we have been asking for. Seeing Hugh Jackman, who is a great Wolverine, in his uniform. Maybe it's not the way that you wanted it to be. Maybe it's not on the timeline that you wanted it to be. But can we just pause and be like, this is awesome? So many negative comments about the uniform, about his height, about the fact that people are showing images and fight scenes from the actual movie. People are mad that that Wolverine is in the uniform and they know that he's in the uniform. And I'm like, can we just celebrate a win? Can we just pause, right? So that's the stuff that's just been kind of weighing me down a little bit as I've been reading a lot of these comments. And it just kind of came to a head specifically with this one. This has been something that's been on my mind for quite some time. And I've actually discussed it with some of you guys in the background of like, are we just becoming so negative and so not thankful for the cool stuff that is happening? It just gives me pause, right? So I wanted to kind of just speak on that for a hot second. The other part of it is, let's be honest, Hugh Jackman is 54 years old. He's 54 years old. My guess is that his arms are not as hairy as Wolverine's, nor as buff as Wolverine. So if he had the short sleeves, then the complaint would be, he doesn't look good. He's not muscular enough. Why didn't he go to the gym? Why did they not put extra hair on his arms? It's almost to the point of no matter what happens, it's never good enough. It's never perfect. And I'm just like thankful. In many ways, I'm just like thankful that, again, I believe that we are in a wonderful age of comics and movies. And yeah, they're not all great. Yeah, I'm not blown away by some of them, but at the same time, they're not terrible. It's not the worst movie ever, right? So I don't know. That's just something that's been on my mind that I wanted to kind of share with you guys. What did that? They traced all the negative comments left about Wolverine back to Ezra. Oh, poor Ezra Miller. That dude, man, I mean, even what was her name? Allison Mack. Allison Mack gets out of jail after serving 2 years of a 3-year sentence for actually doing really bad stuff to some women, right? Sex cult, the whole 9 yards. And that took none of the heat off of Ezra Miller. So it was like a non-starter. Like, I covered it and it was like, yeah, but what about Ezra? Ezra's worse, right? And I mean, poor Ezra Miller. You gotta love it. I enjoy both Deadpool films, but Venom 2 sucks. Kevin, we're trying to be positive here, Kevin. We could have just said, I enjoy both Deadpool films. Could have just left it right there, what is this? This is the fan reaction to IP this big. Scrolling through, his ears are probably hairy. As a 54-year-old man, I'm pretty sure his nose hairs and his ear hair is probably longer than it needs to be. It might actually match up with Wolverine. Scrolling down, where did the comments go? I lost them. I had one highlighted and it went away from me. Some people are just enjoy complaining. I'm an admin of a Facebook. Oh no. That's some work, brother. That's some work. I'm an admin of a Facebook comic book group, and there are a ton of these people just enjoy the movies for what they are. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't really go to Facebook. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of places I don't go just because the negativity is too much. You know what I'm saying? And it weighs you down. It really does weigh you down. And sometimes You just have to just be thankful for what you have. And if you're feeling negative, just don't say anything. You know, sometimes not saying anything is actually the best thing that you could potentially do, right? Scrolling through. Oh, if you paying attention, I'm working in some themes here. There are some themes at work. Stay in your lane. Walsh. For those that have not seen it, What is a Woman's? Matt Walsh released a couple of videos that he cobbled together on comic book movies, and he had a lot of stuff to say, like, why can't you just walk up and shoot all superheroes in the head? Like, that's like the easiest way to get rid of them. He said a lot of nonsensical stuff as a person that clearly does not read comics, right? But he did make also a couple of good points, right? And what I took away from it was the quality of comic book movies needs to improve. That's the nugget that I took away from all of this stuff. When you strip away all of the stuff that Matt said that was inaccurate or just said for the purpose of getting people riled up, the core of it was the quality of comic book movies needs to improve. And I think we can all probably universally agree to the fact that there's a lot of room for improvement in the quality of the movies and the content that is being put out there. You know, Disney was on a tear during the pandemic. They were on an absolute tear with churning out as much stuff as they possibly could. And a lot of it was just chum, right? It was just chum. It wasn't fully baked stuff. And I think, as I signaled months ago, they were signaling that they were going to slow down the release of that content for several different reasons. One of them was because I don't think that they could financially continue to burn through stuff that way. But two, I think they recognized that they were putting out too much and it wasn't being received the same way that some of the earlier stuff had been. Like, I don't know if I believe in superhero fatigue. I believe that when you put out good stuff, people will be there to support it. And I think that there are several movies out right now that are doing incredibly well as a result of the quality being there. It takes more for people to come out of their pocket with money and go to a theater when just in general, when the economy is bad. And so you have to match that effort with the quality. And I think maybe that's what people have to start looking at. I think the other thing they have to look at is making budget smaller. I think I was listening to the Wall Street Journal podcast that I was featured in, and one of the things that they hit on was, I think the first Iron Man movie cost $150 million. I think that was it, right? And you guys will have to fact check me on that. But this idea of spending ungodly sums of money hoping to make up for it a little bit later when your story is weak doesn't work. I think if you're going to spend ungodly sums of money, it has to be on a quality product, because the special effects and all that stuff cannot overcome a bad story. Make the videos, make the movies, make the content better, and I think people will show up for it. Spent way too long on that. Scrolling through the comments here, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Ben Affleck's Daredevil is coming back. I think I covered that, where I don't think it was Daredevil that had been announced, but Elektra. What is her name? The woman from Alias. I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but she's coming back. The cinematography, no doubt. I went back and watched Eternals. It wasn't as bad as I remember, but I still wasn't blown away by the movie. I went back and rewatched it. And so I would agree that the cinematography of certain scenes was absolutely beautiful. There's no doubt about that. And I think there's rumors of an Eternals 2. I've spoken about that a few times, and I want to say I saw something pop up the other day that Eternals 2 is going to come up at some point. If there's no crazy strikes. Scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing what else you guys are talking about. Goonish, I guess there was a comment here. I agree with Planet Arizona. I enjoyed the good time watching and eating popcorn with friends. I'm guessing that's about the theater experience, but I missed the earlier comment. So I can almost guarantee they make a Deadpool style joke about the sleeves after Jackman having to do all the gym work to wear sleeves, might even rip them off. Who knows? There you go. That's what's cool about Deadpool, is that they're not afraid to point fingers at themselves and have a little bit of fun. Ryan Reynolds doesn't seem to really take himself all that serious, which probably is a good thing for him. So scrolling through, yes, just enjoy the fact that we have comic book movies with a decent budget. There you go. Put out quality stuff, get the budget tight, and let's keep cranking this thing, man. Keep cranking it. My wife's favorite comic book film is Catwoman. Anything except the last Thor movie is like The Godfather compared to it. Scrolling through, no, you shouldn't. The thing about it is people feel the way that they feel, right? People feel the way that they feel. But I think you also sometimes, and I'm not talking about you, Victor, so let me take that on the screen. I think we sometimes have to ask ourselves, is the comment that I'm going to make really additive to the conversation, or am I just piling on? Am I saying something so extreme in order to just have a dope comment out there? The worst movie I've ever seen in history. Was it bad? Okay, it was just a bad movie. You know, I had somebody comment on a reel that I put up. Who cares? And my comment back to them, because I had the comment, was clearly you do. Because not only did you watch the reel and comment on the reel, you're probably reading this comment again, right? So you say, who cares? Well, if you don't actually care, then don't comment. Don't watch it. If you're going to go into something knowing that you're not going to enjoy it, then why do it? Why do it? If you're not going to enjoy it. I knew going to see this movie, I wasn't going to like it. Well, why did you spend the money to go see something that you knew that you were not going to like? I go into a lot of stuff without real expectations. And if I come out of I watch a lot of movies at home, right? If I watch a B movie, the question I ask myself, was I entertained? Was I entertained? Did it pass time well? That's kind of the, I'm not expecting every movie to be Avengers Endgame. It's not going to be that. It's not going to be that at all. And I think we just, I think we all just have to accept. Frog Brawler, man. He has what? You guys got to fact check me. 2.6 million subscribers or something like that on YouTube. I mean, he is a hardcore political commentator, and I think he released a movie, a documentary called "What Is a Woman," and this thing has been viewed, again, you guys got to fact check me, 177 million times or something ridiculous. The movie was like a year old, and they released it on Twitter, and it exploded. It really did. And a lot of people have hard feelings towards Matt Walsh. I had somebody tell me earlier today he was a Nazi. People feel how they feel. People feel how they feel, and I'm not in a position to tell you you should feel otherwise. I sometimes like to point out things for you to think about and consider. What you do with that is all on you. So scrolling down, comic book movies need to be altered in formula every once in a while. I don't disagree with that. I don't. This idea, and I was listening to the Wall Street Journal podcast, and one of the things that they talked about was this intersection, like with the first Iron Man movie. They made a purposeful decision, because Tony Stark could be somewhat dark because he was an alcoholic and rich playboy. They decided to inject some humor in that because they wanted to still make it a little like kid friendly. And then I think, as time went on, they may have continued to lean into that blend of serious humor a little too much. And maybe that's what needs to be reset. Like if you look at the that special that they released with Werewolf by Night, that was a completely different genre by and large, and I enjoyed it. It was different, right? And I think that maybe what they need to do is to not necessarily work in a formula for a long period of time for everything that they do, because it becomes a little stale. And maybe not a reboot, but maybe they just need to go in a different direction, right? Go in a different direction, have a different slant, allow a little bit of creative freedom. And that was another thing that was alluded to in this Wall Street Journal podcast on Spotify. It was this idea of not giving too much control to the directors, right? Having them be part of a team versus being these assassins that were creating these one-off properties. That was a purposeful decision that was made that worked really well for what they were doing, because if you think about the risk that Marvel was taking at the time to start producing their own movies, they needed to keep their hands on everything because they were literally gambling with their own money, right? If they had failed, it would have gone really bad. Maybe now that they have Big Brother, that being Disney, maybe they can loosen up the reins and allow some more creative freedom and not make everything fit this humor, serious kind of format. So again, just stuff to throw out there and consider. Scrolling through some of the comments here, man, that would be cool. That would be cool. Lager Style says, give a buddy cop movie with Deadpool and Spider-Man. Quality over quantity, Mr. E. Do not disagree with that. Do not disagree with that at all. Make a Johnny Quest movie is a comment here. Scrolling through, the Batman was the only 100 million, was only 100 million. It looks way better than the CGI. But again, that was a stylistic approach that they took for that. They wanted Batman to be more based in reality. And I don't know how the Batman actually did financially, but if the budget was 100 million, they spent whatever they spent on marketing and advertising. My guess is that it did well, but so much of it is, what is the vision? What are you trying to create? And what do you have to spend in order to get there? Because they actually talked about, I think, is it Perlman? I think that was the guy that was in charge of Marvel. Basically saved Marvel from bankruptcy. He oversaw the first, few movies, and they were like, he watched every nickel and dime because it was his money. And he challenged every single dollar that they were spending. And they actually talked about in the first Iron Man movie where they had Tony's caravan get attacked. I think they originally had 10 different Humvees in that caravan. And I guess the guys, I think his name is Ron. You guys got to fact check me. He was like, no, that's too many. That's too expensive. So they cut it down to like 3 or 4 or something like that. And by having somebody paying attention to the dollars and cents, it forced them to make really good decisions because they just couldn't spend willy-nilly. You have to have some financial responsibility, which gets back to head and heart, a whole nother theme that I've been working on. Scrolling through the comments here, seeing what else you guys are talking about. What is that? Problem is putting a superhero movie on a streaming platform is that it doesn't make it special. Scrolling through some of the comments here. I forgot the I haven't seen one since episode 1, brother. I think this one that is out is a really good one. I think it actually there's a couple of spoilers in there. Somebody dropped a super chat. Where is that? Closet Geek, thank you, brother. From kitchen videos to hating DC to the Wall Street Journal and having some great DC. It has been a journey, right? It has been a journey, and I want to thank you, brother, for being part of the journey, because we have definitely been on some stuff, man. And I hated some DC stuff, but I through a lot of very patient people, been allowed to expand my scope and my understanding and also appreciation for DC Comics. But yeah, man, Wall Street Journal, pretty cool, right? I mean, that's cool, man. I had the biggest grin on my face when I heard my voice in the podcast for the Wall Street Journal. So really cool stuff. Scrolling through some of the comments here. What is that? Flash was okay, 20 minutes too long. To be honest, James Gunn left it out to dry due to new actors not being set at the time of the release. Well, I don't know if he left it out to dry. That the decision for Flash to move forward was not his decision. And let's just say that he had come out to support Flash and it'd been a flop. Then what would people be saying about James Gunn right now? Right? This is kind of sort of what I'm pointing to, is that no matter what decision people make or no matter what happens, people are going to find a way to be unhappy. You know what I'm saying? And it's tough. I could not imagine being a studio executive, right? I get enough grief when I occasionally make a mistake in a video and people, comment on that. Like, I'm only human. I'm going to make mistakes. I put out a ton of content and I do it all by myself with zero help. But somebody to take the time to watch the video and then criticize the video because I made an innocent mistake, it's like, come on, cut a brother some slack. I couldn't imagine being one of these studio executives. I mean, it might be nice because they do make a tremendous amount of money. So maybe I do want to go down that path. Scrolling through, what is that? Somebody, Chuck says a 12-step program for loving DC. It's only taking, hence me saying very patient people that have allowed me to expand my understanding, right? And expand my mind to something other than Marvel, and I guess again giving me the freedom to do so, giving me the freedom to go from not necessarily appreciating something or understanding something to be able to reverse course and be like, you know what, I was wrong about that. This is actually pretty good, just like Marvel. So I appreciate the latitude to be able to do that. Man, that would be cool. That would be cool. The goal at the moment is to by the end of this year release 2 publications under Swoldier Publishing. Marcus is what we are working on right now. We are hoping to get that out soon. That is the goal, is to try to get it out soon. And we'll be at New York Comic Con. We'll be at New York Comic Con, and it should be pretty cool. What is that? So do you think Breeze Del Otto will drive the price as the I don't know if that's directed at me, but I'm not familiar. If you're talking about his Del Otto cover that I recently covered in the CGC top 10 countdown, I actually haven't seen the book. So I can't really comment on that. I wasn't able to find a photo of it online at all. So I don't know if it's a Del Otto or something else, or if you're talking about something completely different. So you have my apologies there. Kat, how you doing? Reggie, I found your channel for comic advice. I'm selling my father's collection and getting everything graded. Would love the chance to sell a key to you, anything you're looking for. Is it free? Is it discounted? Those are the questions that I have to ask. Am I looking for something? I'm always looking for something, to be completely honest. I am continuing to improve the quality of my DC collection, and I'm always on the hunt for Marvel books. And in all transparency, I'm not buying a lot right now just because of some things that I'm having to come out of pocket. What I would say, Kat, is if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, we can have a conversation. Regie Collects. If you reach out there, let's have a conversation. I'm sorry for your loss, and I hope everything works out with going through the collection, getting it graded, and all that kind of stuff. If you need any advice on that, I'm happy to help. I do that for a lot of people, so let me know if you need some kind of assistance there. Reggie, just think of the stable of extras from the Gibbon Gang you'd have. Yeah. If we did Swoldier Studios, that would be cool, right? Scrolling to some of the comments. All right, I think I'm all caught up on the comment section. So let me see. Another topic that I wanted to talk about, and again, if you guys have things you want to talk about, throw them up in all caps because it will actually help me to be able to see them with my old eyes. James Gunn confirmed a couple of things over the course of the last little bit here. James Gunn is basically saying that Jaime Reyes, who plays the Blue Beetle, will actually be seen in additional DCU movies down the road. So he's basically saying, go see Blue Beetle because Blue Beetle will be integrated into the DCU. Maybe unlike Ezra Miller's Flash and also Dwayne The Rock Johnson's Black Adam, which both did not do well. I will tell you, I watched the second trailer for Blue Beetle and it looks pretty good. James Gunn has just confirmed that Blue Beetle will not be the last time DC fans see Jaime Reyes on the big screen. Gunn, who is DC Studios co-chair and co-CEO, set the record straight regarding the future of Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle on Threads. According to Gunn, Reyes is one of a handful of other characters who will carry over to his and fellow studio boss Peter Safran's revamped DCU, which kicks off on the big screen with Superman Legacy and the small screen with Creature Commandos. Gunn declined to elaborate further on the identity of the other Legacy DC Extended Universe characters who will be making the jump to the DCU along with the Blue Beetle, leaving fans to speculate who these heroes or villains might be. Sound off in the comment section if you have some guesses on who's going to move over. I will just go ahead and say Peacemaker, no doubt about it. I think Peacemaker is going to be moving over, and I would say Gal Gadot. I think Gal Gadot is going to be moving over as well. She makes a fantastic Wonder Woman, so I think Gal might actually come over. Victor says, Blue Beetle looks tough. Scrolling through some of the comments, I love the Superman casting. Corn Sweat is a perfect choice. Oh, brother, don't even get me started with the negativity around that one. Like, well, Henry Cavill's never coming back. Let's just say Henry Cavill's not coming back. Let's just move on. We are getting a Superman movie with a decently young actor. Yes, he is like 6'4" and 180 pounds, but he has time to put on some size. But this is again another example of let's just be happy that Superman is potentially going to get a movie. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it's actually going to be a really good movie, because fingers crossed that it will be, right? Let's just say that. Fingers crossed that it will be. Let me take that off the thing here. What inspires your original content, Reggie? Thanks for not being a copy. You know, part of what inspires me to do it is to not be a copycat. To not be a copycat. You know, and Tina's taking me back. So I used to do unboxings like everybody else. I got this new book. Let me show you what I got, right? Everybody does that. You can't differentiate yourself if you put out the exact same content of an unboxing. Plus, you run out of money at a certain point where you can't buy any more stuff, right? And show it off and it still be cool, right? So I decided that I needed to differentiate myself. And I spent, and still do, a lot of time thinking, what kind of content can I put out? What is going to advance the channel? What is going to appeal to people? What is going to get people to watch? What is going to make the community better? What is different from other people, right? I spend a lot of time thinking about those things and trying to put out good content that I can be proud of. And it's not perfect. I don't hit every single topic perfectly, right? But I think my heart's in the right place of trying to put out good content that is a mixture of entertainment and information, that gives people the space and freedom to make good and better decisions for themselves. And I've had some people say to me, Tina, some people have said to me, you sound like a speculator in this video. You sound like an investor. And I'm like, well, I sound like what I should sound like for the video that I'm making, right? If I'm making a video going over investment tips, then I'm going to sound like an investor, because that's what the video calls for. If it's a video about, hey, let's look at my full run of Amazing Spider-Man, that's going to sound very different. And so, the goal is always to constantly try to push myself to be more creative, to push myself to put out consistently good content. Like, that's the goal. Sometimes we hit it, sometimes we miss it and fail miserably, but that is what happens. Boy, I really hope Blue Beetle is good. Not a fan, but I'm pulling for them. One of the cool things about movies and TV shows for me is that when they decide to make one of them, I actually go read some of the source material. So I've gone back and read some of the old Blue Beetle stuff. I've read some of the new Blue Beetle stuff. And to me, that's part of what makes the movies and TV shows cool, is that I have an excuse to go read this versus all the other stuff that I could read. And again, I'm not a Blue Beetle fan, but I, like you, Milt, I'm rooting for the Blue Beetle. I hope DC hits home runs. I hope DC puts out content that resonates not just with comic fans, but with people as a whole. And I think if they put out good stories that allow people to come out of pocket that money and not just sit at home and wait for it to come to the streaming platform, I think they're going to be well served. I really hope they keep Gal Gadot. She's a terrific one. I don't disagree. That last Wonder Woman movie, not so much. I blame Patty Jenkins for that. But Gal Gadot, gorgeous woman, great actress, or love her as Wonder Woman. Fingers crossed that she comes back. Completely agree with that. Not a DC fan, but I do want to see Blue Beetle. There you go. And that's what you want to hear. I'm not a fan, but I still want to go see it for whatever reason. That's what we need. Soulless. How is a taco soulless? Does a taco have a soul? I'm confused. Scrolling through some of the comments here. A soulless taco. I've never seen you before. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully you've subscribed to the channel. Blazing Asian. I don't know that I've ever seen you before. Welcome to the channel. Hope you subscribe. I absolutely appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out just a little bit. So scrolling through, I thought they already recast Gal Gadot with the actress from Percy Jackson. Is that a joke? Are you joking? Or are you serious? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Thank you, brother. The wall is fun, man. You know, I'm actually going to redo the wall. I need to figure out what I want to change back there, but we're going to redo the wall at some point. So if you guys have some ideas for the wall, let me know. Another question I have for you guys. Do you think that James Gunn decided to integrate the Blue Beetle into the DCU in an attempt to stymie the slide that has been seen, right? Because Aquaman is kind of out there on his own. Black Adam was out there on his own. Flash was out there on his own. Do you think that that was a purposeful decision that he made in order to stop the slide? Or do you think that there's really an interest in leveraging the Blue Beetle moving forward? Like, if you think James Gunn, he does a lot of quirky stuff. He uses B and C list characters really well because there's a lot of freedom there for him to do that. The Blue Beetle, in my mind, kind of falls into that category. So I'm thinking that maybe he does have a plan for the Blue Beetle. Maybe he's seen some rough cuts of this thing and is impressed with what he's seen and is like, hey, I can use this in Creature Commandos or, you know, Superman Legacy or something else that he's working on. I'm curious what you all's thoughts are on that. So throw that up in the comment section. So scrolling through. The Superman script will be key. Actors are fine. We have had a lot of Superman, no doubt about that. Hopefully James Gunn has put pen to paper in the right way and has put together a really good script. I take confidence in this. He was offered Superman multiple times and turned it down. And his thought was, I don't want to do Superman unless I can do it right and have a good story to tell. The fact that he is head of the studio and had already been working on the Superman script actually gives me confidence that he believes he had a good story to tell. And my hope is that the stars will align and what he creates will be a smash success. Peacemaker, no one saw it coming. Peacemaker was solid. There were parts of it I didn't enjoy. I had to stick with it after the first episode because I didn't enjoy that. I rather enjoy Peacemaker, right? I rather enjoyed it in the end. I would love to see you, brother. You have got to start using 1G. REGIE, just 1G. And Comic Tom is my buddy. Comic Tom is my buddy. And if you search for Regie Collects Comic Tom, you can actually find a couple of videos in which we collaborated on a few things. I actually went out to where Comic Tom is, and we sat in the same room and we did a podcast together. That is my buddy. Scrolling through some of my comments here. Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. We all have our bad days, and I sometimes get a little feisty. But I try to do. I love to see Cavill as Union Jack. Oof. Okay. Hey, just give me some invaders. Milk. Give me some invaders. I am on board. I love the invaders. Not the biggest Cap fan, but I like Cap on the Invaders team. I really do. Blue Beetle was one I really liked when I was a kid. There you go, DeWild. I hope that the Blue Beetle lives up to the expectations that we all have for it. Fingers crossed. Phil, how you doing, brother? It is good to see. We're weaving religion and philosophy, man, business. We're doing all kinds of stuff. And I'm way behind on the comments. We're doing all kinds of stuff up in here. No, man, they made Wonder Man black. Simon Williams, that role was taken as a black man. It's a black man now. It's been taken over. So Comic Tom's my buddy, man. He's a good guy, and he's not like what you see on camera. Comic Tom is a good guy. I've enjoyed every single conversation that I've had with that guy over the years. What is that? Cavill, Betcha Superman. There you go. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. I appreciate you, King. Again, another name that I've never seen before. I don't know that I've seen your name before, but welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully you are subscribed. All right, let me go on to this other piece of news because we are starting to run a little bit tight on time. Cavill has confirmed. I'm sorry, Cavill. James Gunn has confirmed another thing. The Vigilante, the breakout star from Peacemaker, is going to be seen before season 2 of Peacemaker. So Peacemaker's coming back. There's no date for it. It'll probably be after Superman Legacy and Creature Commandos comes out, but Vigilante is going to be seen in something. I don't know what kind of handgun that is that he has, but it's a cool one. This one is absurd. The one on the left, just obnoxious there. But that is Peacemaker for you, John Cena. But yeah, Vigilante is going to be seen. We don't know exactly where. But he will be seen probably before Peacemaker season 2. Gunn wrote after being asked where fans will see the character again. Goes on to talk about how Vigilante quickly became one of the show's most popular faces due to his eccentric friendship with Peacemaker and his shockingly efficient combat methods. I rather enjoyed the character, to be honest with you. He was cool. So there you go. That is another confirmation. Where and when, no one knows at the moment. Another thing that I alluded to at the top of the show was that Spider-Man has a drinking problem. And this is a post that I'll share with you guys ever so quickly. This was Tom Holland. There was a post that went up on that Instagram page right there. He was on a podcast recently and basically spoke about the fact that he was struggling with drinking. He's not saying that he was an alcoholic, but he was saying he felt like he always needed to have a drink. And he stopped for like dry January, basically stopped drinking, stopped alcohol. And after a few months, he still felt that urge to drink. And so for the last year and a half has not been drinking at all, and says it has been the best time of his life. So I saw that, and I thought it was a really good article about Spider-Man, about Tom Holland. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And then if you zoom in and read the very first comment that comes up, just negative for no reason. I feel like we've forgotten to just have fun and to be thankful and to be appreciative of the things that we have, just right from the top. This is fake. It's exaggerated. How about, man, good for Tom Holland. Good for Tom Holland for recognizing that he had a problem or some challenges, and he got control of it before it got control of him. So shout out to Tom Holland. Glad that he's doing well. Hoping anybody out there that is having drinking problems gets the help that they need. So I released a video a couple of weeks ago. Don't invest in these comics. And I don't remember all the details of this video, I will tell you, but there was a couple of comments here that were left. Let me see if I can find the right one. This is a comment that was left up by Thomas Cruz. He says, I totally agree with you, Reggie. Speculation in and of itself is not a bad thing. In fact, it can be a good thing as it keeps people interested in the hobby. The big thing is to consider what your purpose for speculating on a particular book is and why you think it's a good speculation buy. The general rule that I go by is if it's on a top 10 list, or is the FOMO book of the week, or if they just made an announcement about a film, or they just dropped the trailer, then you probably missed the boat already and you should stay away at that point. So I appreciate Jay Thomas's comment here on this video that, again, I released. I had this one saved a while ago. I just never spoke about it, but it's a solid comment where he's basically like, look, speculation isn't bad. A lot of people speculate on comics. Speculating doesn't make you bad. Doesn't, as an investor, doesn't make you a bad person. You know, this idea that you just have to read and collect purely, right, without ever thinking about money, I don't know about that, right? But this was just a good comment that he put out there, and then offered up a few additional tips and pointers for people to think about, right? Because if it's on the top 10 list where it's like, hey, this is the hot book, you might be behind the curve already. So buying it from a speculative standpoint, you might have already missed your window. But again, a really good comment from him. And then Funko Pop up here is saying, as always, Reggie, you are the comic guru. Great info. So there you go. I don't know if I consider myself a comic book guru versus a guy that has a YouTube channel and a perspective. that's how we'll leave it at that. Mystery, there you go. There you go. Good for Tom Holland. There you go. Tom Cruise in the Giving Game. Where'd you see that? Sign Tom Cruise. Let's go, brother. Let's see your ASM 110. You need to be in the Giving Gang. About to go see Mission Impossible tomorrow, says Liger Style. There you go. Funk Comics. There you go. Welcome. Should you get spec books after the price has gone down months later? Yeah. So, I mean, the thing about it is, as I spoke about in another video, in my mind, I look at investment as a spectrum, right? At one end, there is speculation, a lot of risk, potentially high rewards. At the other end is like true investing, where it's like blue chip comics, blue chip stocks. That's kind of how I look at it. So if there is a spec book that you want to, roll the dice on, the question that I would have to ask is, if you don't get that book at the beginning and immediately turn it over, is it still a speculative buy later on after it's cooled down, right? Like, for example, if you were buying the first appearance of Spider-Boy 2 as a spec buy, more than likely you should have bought and sold that book already, because the value has gone down, graded 9.8 from like $200 to like $103 if memory serves. So the time to have bought that would have been a while ago. So would you buy it now at $100? Maybe, but what's going to drive the price up to $200 to $300 for you to be able to get your money back out of it? I don't know. I would say the time to buy it would not be at $200 at all, right? That's the time to sell it. But is now the time to buy it? I don't know. If you're doing it for speculative purposes, it's about timing, and it's about what is going to trigger that book to increase in value so that you can offload it. You might spend that $103 right now, and that book will continue to slide. And there may be nothing that props that book back up at a later date. There may be nothing that comes along with it, but buying it at $200, no. Buying it at originally when it dropped at cover price and immediately turning it around and selling it for $100, $200, that would have been the move. That would have been the move. So hopefully that answers the question. Hopefully, and again, you guys can always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm always willing to have a conversation. If you guys have questions, if you want to debate about something, we can always have that discussion on Instagram. So with that said, because we are now tight on time, I want to thank the Blue Wrenches for always being here to support the channel. I want to thank everyone that has recently joined the channel. Those folks like Vika and Milt and Chuck that have been around for a very long time. I am very appreciative of every person that takes the time to watch the content, that gives the video a thumbs up, that comments on the video. It all helps. A huge shout out to Patreon members. I absolutely appreciate the support that you guys continue to give the channel. I will tell you for a fact that YouTube pays us very little for the content that gets put out. And so I'm very thankful for Patreon members to support the channel. The file for Isolation issue 4, for those people that bought it, has been released to the printer. The printer has the final print count and is in the process of scheduling the book to be printed. As soon as issue 4 is printed and in my hands, I will immediately begin shipping books out to people. And as I mentioned a couple of times, the second publication, Marcus, which I'm working on with Scott P, who was in the chat earlier, that we are starting work on that book. More to come on that one. I will tell you, Marcus is a crazy story. Marcus is a crazy story. And is based in the real world. And I cannot wait for you guys to learn more about Marcus over the next several months. I hope you guys will support that project as well. All right. With that said, as always, if you all need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms of pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations, you fly and we waiting. Indian style in the gold temple of greatness. When you follow the North Star, you coming for the education. This is my audio book. These rhymes are just the imagery, more like an audio graphic novel or a memoir about a young MC making timeless music with his mentor. I pray I grasp my letters, nothing was meant to last forever.